What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. I know you guys could probably already tell it is going down. Just by that title alone, definitely gonna want to see this one, as we got that corrupt New York district attorney Alvin Bragg getting caught up in his own traps as his plot against Donald Trump has now backfired in this newest update, guys. I'm excited to get into it, so we're not straight into it. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, or even get into it, you guys. Hit that like button, also hit that subscribe button for your boy. And without further ado, let's jump straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
The worst option for justice and for this nation is to do what Bragg is suggesting, to allow him to hold this leash on a sitting American president for 4 years. This is, I just wrote a book on how this was an age of rage. This is the face of rage. It's addictive. It's hard to let go. And they want to drag this out for 4 more years.
Well, Jonathan, as you say, it may be the worst thing in the nation for this case to be held in abeyance for 4 years. But as Andy was pointing out a moment ago, it could be the best thing for Alvin Bragg's political career, based on the fact that he will be running again as district attorney in the state, in the city of New York. But is there, Jonathan, any precedence in American law for holding in abeyance the sentencing of an American president until he completes his term in office?
No, we've long been in uncharted territory. So all of the available maps became useless about 2 years ago. But, you know, to use the old pirate phrase, there's monsters that lie at the end of that map that you do not want to go off this map in this way. To say that Alvin Bragg will sit there and just watch a sitting president on a pendency of a sentence that could send him to jail. It's just a perfectly appalling idea. I'm hoping that the judge will understand it as such. But the other dynamic here, and this has been raised by Andy as well, is that this case is riddled with error. I mean, it's an absurd case. It should never have been brought. It's raw lawfare. It's rage. And that's what this is all about. And many of us that covered this trial stood outside that courthouse in Manhattan, and you saw the face of rage and people dancing in the streets with the celebrating this conviction. Those people want the party to continue, and they want it to go on for 4 more years. The rest of the country does not.
This is absolute insanity that we're witnessing with District Attorney Alvin Bragg has got going on. He's wrapped up in politicizing his office, just like that New York Attorney General, Miss Letitia James, guys. They're one and the same. The way they just cannot drop it. They can't let go of Donald Trump. We've seen her campaigning right after Donald Trump was elected in, saying, we will not stop. We will continue to fight. I mean, the same thing is happening right here. District Attorney Alvin Bragg saying, hey, Judge, we should go ahead and delay this for 4 years. What happened to the right to a speedy trial?
Further from this letter, prosecutors telling the judge in this case they're mindful of the demands and obligations of the presidency and realize that Trump's return to the White House will, quote, raise unprecedented legal questions. Your reaction to the news?
Well, I think it's absurd. And I think that, you know, Juan Merchan was originally, in my mind, a pro-prosecution judge. Now Juan Merchan is an anti-Trump judge. There is sufficient basis to dismiss this case. But instead, Juan Merchan, who was conflicted from the beginning of this and should never have been allowed to handle this case by the administrative judge of the courts, was allowed to handle this case. He gets a conviction on an absurd case that's not real. It's a make-believe case barred by the statute of limitation, bootstrapped by a federal crime over which he has no jurisdiction, and then with a verdict sheet that no one understands. And now he says, look, I'm willing to wait the 4 years so that we can continue to have Donald Trump, the president of the United States, be awaiting sentences on his conviction for 34 felony counts that are ridiculous, absurd, and everyone knows it. Now you've got Bragg who's saying, you know, we want, actually that's Bragg, we want to continue this thing. So Juan Merchan now has to have a hearing and decide whether or not those arguments of Bragg are appropriate to continue this case. The Supreme Court's decision within a month of the conviction, and again, there is no conviction unless and until there's a sentencing, that decision reels right into this case because so much of this case was part of the Oval Office, Hope Hicks, Madeleine Westerhout. So much of that evidence the prosecution admitted was essential to their case goes out immediately based upon the Supreme Court's decision. Now let's talk about the fact that there's a 330 motion for dismissal of the charges, which Merchan could grant immediately by establishing some kind of precedent and saying, you know what, from now on, when there's a president in the Oval Office, irrespective of when the jury verdict came down, the case has to be dismissed.
Judge Juan Merchan has showed himself time in and time out not capable of, just going ahead and slamming down on the prosecution. DA Alvin Bragg, coming after Donald Trump. This case was dead, floating in the water for some time. We've seen Alvin Bragg's efforts in reviving this Frankenstein case, even upgrading misdemeanor charges up to felony charges in order to come after Donald Trump. No surprise the way Judge Juan Merchan is allowing him to use and abuse his court. I mean, it's sad.
And, temporary immunity, according to Alvin Bragg, doesn't require dismissal post-trial. I mean, this is so full of hate. This is so out of sync with the American public and what they want. Alvin Bragg, Juan Merchan, the two of them brought Donald Trump, they thought, to his knees. They thought that they would put this man in jail. They thought they were heroes and would swing an election. They are one of the reasons that Donald Trump got elected, because the American people do not believe in this kind of justice. This is what happens in third world countries, and Alvin Bragg continues to prove it, and Juan Merchan right now doesn't have the spine. He doesn't know what he's going to do. But right now, they want a hearing. They'll have a hearing. They want a motion scheduled, Alvin Bragg, to decide the motion to dismiss. So Bragg is now putting it on Merchan, but is opposing it.
Here is the great, I don't know if you want to call it an irony or a tragedy or what you want to call it, Judge, but you've got a district attorney in Alvin Bragg who was willing to wait 4 years for some sentence to come down on Donald Trump, and it could be anything from a fine to who knows what, while at the same time, the justice system in New York let walk on the streets a homeless man who's mentally ill, who stabbed to death 3 people in the Big Apple yesterday.
3. Yeah. Look, I just met look, I am standing in front of 100 Center Street. I am in front of the courthouse right now where Donald Trump was tried. And one of the defense attorneys came up to me. He said, you know what? I'm not a Republican. He said, but what they did in that Trump case is absurd. He said, I've got 10 clients whose crimes were committed, allegedly, he said, before this Trump case. He said, we can't even get them to trial. We can't even get the DA to talk about it. They rushed this case for the purpose of destroying Donald Trump. And the American people wouldn't have it. And this case has to be dismissed. It is a violation of everything we hold dear. It's unconstitutional. It is insufficient in terms of evidence, and it is reversible error. There's enough error in this thing to reverse a ship.
Yo, there we have it, guys. DA Alvin Bragg, Judge Juan Merchan. How far will they go? When do they draw the line and give up this sham charade coming after Donald Trump? It seems like the state of New York has got that infection, that Trump derangement syndrome. It just runs rampant through the streets of New York. They won't drop the charge. We got New York Attorney General, even Letitia James, continue to campaign on the name of getting Donald Trump. It seems like those bad actors, rogue agents in the state of New York, just won't drop the sham charge. I mean, come on, you guys. 4 years? You're telling me we're going to delay this 4 years and then continue to try to come after Donald Trump after he has vacated office? Doesn't make sense to me. This case was flimsy when it was first brought about, was thought to be one of the most flimsy cases on Donald Trump, but yet they continue to push, and like Judge Neen said, they rushed this thing through the courts. D. Alvin Bragg knows he's wrong, and Judge Juan Merchan knows he's wrong for allowing D. Alvin Bragg to use his court, politicize it the way he did. Guys, definitely hop in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Also, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next one. We go.